remember these words.
Hi, this is Kyle with Music is a Verb, and in my last video, I listened to Holy by Justin Bieber featuring Chance the Rapper. In that video, I developed a list of qualities that the song had, music theory, songwriting, and production techniques that they used to make the song so great. Today, I used all of those qualities and techniques to make a track that imitates Holy without copying it outright. I'm going to walk you through it now. Let's take a look. Alright, so what we're looking at now is my session in Logic Pro for making a track kind of like Holy. This track is incredibly sparse. The elements it uses are really effective, but there's not a ton going on. In fact, that's very similar to the last song that I did, Mood, by 24K Golden. So I started out with an element that I think kind of makes this track and makes it pretty unique, the tambourine. I grabbed a tambourine from my percussion bin and recorded this sample. You can see on the screen that I recorded a bit for a while, and then I took a section that I really liked and looped that out, just for consistency purposes. I knew that I wanted the texture to change in this song halfway through the chorus, the same way it did in Holy. So what I did was take the tambourine and copy it. I pitched one up a little bit, pitched one down a little bit, and split it left and right, giving me this sound. You can hear that, especially if you're wearing headphones, coming in both ears instead of dead center, as that earlier tambourine was. Once I had this tambourine sample going, I hopped on my electric drum kit and laid down the basic groove that I was going to hear when the drums came in. That sounded like this, just a kick and a snare, because the tambourine is serving as our hi-hat, or giving us all of our subdivisions. So the kick and snare sound like this. On top of this percussion bed, I started to lay down the piano, which is really the driving instrument in the song Holy, all through the beginning, and then there's a little piece where it cuts out just to drums and bass, which I tried to emulate, but the piano is really something that grounds this track together. So I added that next. I came over to my piano, and I used a couple of the elements I heard in Holy. You get this great descending bass line that I talked about in my last video. For my part, I wanted to kind of copy the spirit of Holy, but without doing exactly the same thing. So I opted for an ascending bass line that uses the same type of technique, chord inversions, to create a progression that's more interesting than it otherwise would have been. I decided to start my progression on the 4 chord. I'm in the key of A. I'm in the key of A, this is where home sounds like, and I just started to start on the 4 chord. Fa, and I created a little progression, just fa, mi. I'm already using a little bit of a descending bass line to create a chord inversion. That's a 1 chord over its 3rd. And then I jump up to the 6 and do an ascending bass line back to the 1. And that's 6, 5, 1. And that gave me kind of that rising gospel feel on the piano that I wanted. Again, that's 4, 1 over its 3rd, 6, 5, 1. And then it goes down to 4. I played around a little bit doing 1, 7 to lead back to the 4. So it would be 6, 5, 1. But that kind of hit a little bit too churchy for me, and it sounded a little bit corny for the type of song I was trying to create. I thought that this would create a good harmonic structure that kept things moving the same way it does in Holy. Let's hear it over the rhythmic bed. It sounds like this. I opted for something straight for the ascending part, but this is anticipated. You get a little bit of that bounce to it. Right here it goes. Then on the beat. Over this I recorded some bass guitar, following the lowest note of the chords, although remember, those aren't the chord roots, we're using some inversions. Bass guitar coming in now, it sounds like this. Nothing fancy, just tracking the changes. But since that bass guitar is going to come in when the texture changes, it's going to be pretty impactful, the same way it is in Holy. So, this is really it. there aren't a lot of instruments going on in this song. This is a very vocal dominant song with, as I said about 1,000,000 times in my last video, a vocal forward mix. So, since it was so easy to create the basic bed around which this song was created, I knew I had to add some vocals. So let's talk about that. Holy is centered around a really smooth R&B vocal performance from Justin Bieber. I knew that no matter what I did, I was never going to replicate that. So I enlisted the help of my wife, Nicole, who came on and lent her vocals for me. But I needed a song first. So I knew that I wanted to create a song that was something like Holy without copying it outright. So I did what anyone would do. I jumped on thesaurus.com. I took some keywords and I wrote some corny lyrics that were something like the song Holy. Alright, after I had some lyrics to work with, I recorded Nicole singing over the top of the track I had made. Now, I didn't change the melody all that much. I had already reharmonized. Remember, we're using a completely different chord progression than Holy uses. So I knew I could get away with using basically the same melody and it's still sounding like a very different song. If you look at the screen, you can see that I recorded the vocals in two parts, labeled low lead and high lead. This is emulating what Bieber does in the song, the kind of lower, breathy vocals that he gives in the beginning performance. And then when he jumps and the texture changes halfway through the chorus, those kind of more full-voiced, higher vocals. So we recorded them in two parts, but wound up with something like this.
Even when I don't feel able, boy, you know you make me faithful. Every day you say that you will be mine. Is a feeling so great it must be divine. Even when it's all on the table, boy, you know I'll still be faithful.
Now, this was far from the end because there's a lot of cool vocal things happening in this track, and I wanted to emulate as many of them as I could, as quickly as I could. The first thing I did was add some of those low octave male vocals underneath her beginning performance. Now, you can see it says low male here. I recorded each one twice. It's the same thing, just an octave under what she's singing. And I panned two of them to the left, two of them to the right, and I put them in a big church cathedral hall so that they'd be kind of soaked in reverb. Let's listen to that beginning with all those vocals in.
Even when I don't feel able,
Adds such an ambiance.
boy, you know you make me faithful.
I think you know what's coming there. We had to add a part there, but I'm going to get to that last. For the high lead, I added another thing underneath. I added a higher harmony that I had Nicole sing, and then I added two harmonies, the same harmony, but an octave lower that I sang that I panned hard left and right. First, I'll add in mine underneath her, harmony left and harmony right, and you'll hear kind of what that part was. Here's the original part.
Every day you say that you will be mine. Is a feeling so great it must be divine.
And then here's with the harmonies underneath.
Every day you say that you will be mine. Is a feeling so great it must be divine.
Very, very low. They're actually a little crunchy too, to the left and the right. Then that same harmony but an octave up that she sang.
Every day you say that you will be mine. Is a feeling so great it must be divine.
It just created a little bit more of a texture there. It thickened up the vocals, and it does emulate what happens in the actual song. Not the first time around, but later in the song when they add that harmony, and I think it sounds so great. You can also hear in that section how the piano's dropping out, again to emulate what the song does. What's missing from this texture is all that carryover reverb from the, oh God! So, I had to do something. So I decided to do oh Lord instead of oh God, and I recorded a whole bunch of vocals. Let's take a look. All of these, I'm gonna zoom in for us, are just saying, oh Lord, except it's me stacking those vocals, oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord, and then Nicole on top of me hitting that next octave up, oh Lord, and a third above that, oh Lord, except it's pretty obvious at this point why I didn't do it and I had her do it instead. All right, so let's play you these one voice at a time, stacking them up. First is, oh Lord, oh Lord. Again, we've put a pretty lush reverb on them, pan some left, some right. We're gonna add a third above that. Oh Lord. We're gonna add another third above that to get the fifth. Oh Lord. Then we're gonna have Nikki sing that high octave. Oh Lord. And then we're gonna have Nikki sing a third above that. Oh Lord. When we put those all together in the context of the track and let that reverb hang over, I get exactly the effect I was looking for.
Boy, you know you make me faithful. Oh Lord. Every day you say that you will
See
be
how that
mine.
drags out past into the next section, and it helps it change so that when the texture changes, it doesn't seem all that sudden because you've got something carrying over one to the other in much the same way a crash cymbal would serve. But instead of a crash cymbal, we've got all the extra reverb from oh Lord. So when you put them all together, again, we've thrown all these vocal layers in, we put them on top of the track and created a texture change, we get something like this.
Even when I don't feel able, boy, you know you make me faithful. Oh Lord. Every day you say that you will be mine. Is a feeling so great, it must be divine. Even when it's all on the table, boy, you know I'll still be faithful.
And that's it, my attempt at creating something that imitates holy without copying it outright. We're getting right up to the line of something that is holy without it being holy exactly. You could almost even call it parody, right? Alright, so let me know in the comments below, did I get anywhere close to creating the vibe and texture of holy? That's what I was going for. Obviously, this is just a small snippet that we put together quickly, but I think it's so valuable to try to create the things that you're hearing when you're listening to songs. There's plenty more to come. If you like content like this, please remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you soon.